looking at bullpen help? Are you looking at a right-handed bat, left-handed bat? Like, what are you sure, it comes down to who's available, but what positions are you hoping are available?
Sure. Well, I guess starting with pitching, our pitching has carried a bulk of the weight for most of the season. We need to be mindful of the workload demands that we're putting on some of our younger guys, but also hope that we can balance that out with guys getting healthy. But I don't think there's anyone who would sit in this seat and try to make a deep postseason run and say that they wouldn't explore opportunities to upgrade the bullpen, especially because the bullpen is so important in the postseason. And then I think when you look at our position player group, there's no secret that we've struggled to score runs at times. And, recently I think we've seen some signs of life in the approach and the damage that we're able to do, and players deserve a ton of credit for that, and our coaching staff deserves a ton of credit for that. But I think our position player group has a ton of flexibility because a bunch of our infielders can move around the diamond, a bunch of our corner outfielders are capable of playing center field, and so if we look to upgrade offensively, I don't think we have to pinpoint a particular position in order to make that improvement.
On this Friday night, as the Red Sox return to play, be taking on the Toronto Blue Jays in just a short time over at Fenway Park with Patrick Sandoval on the mound. If you can get excited about that, I can't. But in any case, Sandoval on the mound. They'll open a series against the Blue Jays over at Fenway, 3-gamer. In the meantime, Craig Breslow went on the MLB Network this afternoon, was asked about the trade deadline, along assorted other things, but this is one of the more notable comments that he made, because Matt McCarthy, actually think there's a little bit of information in there. Maybe not a lot, maybe not information that necessarily surprises a lot of people, but Breslow did talk about the trading deadline. So 617-779-0985. We'll open up the lines right away. We'll take your calls on anything and everything, but certainly the Red Sox now back in the race. The games matter. The deals matter. The season matters. All of that because of this extraordinary 15-game winning streak that they just had and a stretch of games in which they have gone 20-3 over, the last 3 or 4 weeks, really. Again, Matt McCarthy in studio. But that comment from Craig Breslow, let me just say this quickly, Matt, that if you listen to what he said in that answer, everybody would want starting pitching, and we are going to have to balance the workload demands on some of our younger pitchers, hopefully with some people coming back from injury. Okay, well, one of those guys is Ranger Suarez. Mm-hmm. He should be back at any moment. But I would also tell you that given where they are right now, Brian Bayo is not starting yet. He's still serving as a bulk guy, and I'm not convinced that he is necessarily going to plug the hole yet. Suarez, I think, won't come back. One of the injured guys is Connolly Early. So how can you necessarily offset the workload demands with a guy who's already injured? You follow me?
Totally, yeah.
And I don't think Garrett Crochet's coming back.
And if he does, is he even going to come back as a starter? Is he going to have enough time to get ramped up to be a starting pitcher? This is a question we're going to ask down the stretch here.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is this, that there was a report the other day that the Red Sox are looking for starting pitching and a right-handed bat, and I think Craig Breslow basically just told you that that is true. I think that the phrase workload demands on some of our younger pitchers is something you should take seriously, because Peyton Tolley is going to hit a wall. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean in terms of performance, but in terms of an innings amount or an innings count. And I think the Red Sox are probably going to pull the plug on him at some point, or they're going to have to make a decision to pitch through it, in which case they may need an additional starter and have him skip a turn every so often.
Right, or piggyback him or whatever that may be.
Exactly right. They're going to have to come up with more arms to offset Tolley, even if he does continue to pitch. Same thing is going to be true of Connolly Early. Same thing is going to be true of Jake Bennett. So I think they are looking for starting pitching help. He said everybody's looking for help in the bullpen. I'll give you more on that in a minute. The back end of their bullpen is still pretty good. Mm-hmm. Garrett Whitlock has been positively sensational during this winning streak. I was looking it up today. 14 appearances, 1 run.
He's been awesome, man. He's been awesome.
11 strikeouts, no walks. The only run he allowed was on a solo home run. That's it. Okay, he hasn't given up anything. And I would argue, I think there is a little bit of a hole before Whitlock in that bullpen. And then he says, any bat. Pretty much, he says, any bat. We're not necessarily looking for a shortstop or a second baseman or an outfielder because we do have some quote-unquote positional versatility, which I think is true. And so, I've had people ask in the last day or so, Matt, what are they going to do? Would they get a shortstop? They could use a shortstop, Jeremy Pena or Zach Nato with the Angels or C.J. Abrams with the Washington Nationals. All those names have been tossed out there. To which I would say, yeah, sure, fine, no problem. But I would prefer a right-handed bat, which takes Abrams out of the equation. And I don't think they have to be hell-bent on making it be a shortstop. I would take, if I were the Red Sox, I would be seeking the best right-handed bat available. That would be my objective, independent of position, and I'll figure the rest out after that. So again, starting pitching, bullpen, a right-handed bat for the middle of the lineup. Sounds like they're in the market for all three. At this point, are you expecting an active acquisition deadline from the Red Sox?
No, because Craig Breslow's in charge. And I've lived through this the last two deadlines. So, no. I think the advantage here for Breslow, and he's right about this, is he doesn't have to hone in on, I need X. Last year, it's I need a number 2 starter. I need a Joe Ryan type of acquisition. He got honed in on that, couldn't get the deal done. Okay, so that didn't happen. This year, all you need to do is right-handed bat. It doesn't matter where it is. And yes, starting pitching is important. Yes, teams can always use help in the bullpen. But this deadline, to me, Mazz, will be defined by how much they improve their lineup, if they improve their lineup at all. And his job is easier in a sense that because they only have 3 or 4 guys that you'd even want to keep in the lineup in the first place, you can go out and get a catcher. You can go out and get a middle infielder. You can go out and get an outfielder because you can replace Duran. It doesn't really matter who you get so long as he hits right-handed. Hell, it doesn't even matter if he really hits right-handed so long as he can hit. Now, I would prefer a right-handed bat because they obviously need more help, especially from the right side. So his job is easier in that sense. However, I do worry about him going in a million different directions, waiting for the market to come to him and be established, because my attitude would be if I'm Craig Breslow and thinking I understand the way he operates, he's going to say, well, because I don't need a shortstop, I don't need a left fielder, I can take anything that I have, I'll wait until the last minute and I'll see where the true value is. There might not be any value at the last minute because prices go up, especially the closer you get to a deadline. I want to see him be aggressive. I want to see him make a deal early in the next couple of days here. Set the market. Don't wait for the market to come to you.
Okay, so a couple things we're going to get to tonight on the program. One is the trade deadline. That's obvious. That'll remain a topic of discussion as we approach August 3rd. And again, just for those of you who are accustomed to the old calendar with regard to the baseball trade deadline, it's not July 31st this year. It's August 3rd. So you've got the balance of the month, which is 1 week. Next Friday will be the 31st. The deadline will be on Monday the 3rd. Obviously a week from Monday. So you're now 10 days from that, but that'll remain a topic. Tom Werner made some comments earlier in the week that we will revisit with Matt McCarthy. I haven't heard Matt's opinions, and he has not had an opportunity, at least on this program, to weigh in and give his thoughts on what Werner said earlier in the week and what it means for the immediate and long-term future of the Red Sox. That's another thing. And I do want to also get his thoughts on the effects and impact of the winning streak, which is now over. So, and frankly, I would love to hear from a lot of you now with regard to whether or not the buzz is worn off. So the winning streak's gone. The Orioles won the finale. They're out of town. Day off yesterday. Everybody sort of has a little opportunity there, including the players in the organization, to equalize, stabilize, come out. Now you have to start a new one. And now you have to play the final 61 games as you go down the stretch here to try to get into the postseason and then potentially make a run. And I say that because I think an acquisition at the deadline, a good one, could make a difference. The American League is weak. Jared Krabs said earlier in the week, Matt McCarthy, that a good right-handed bat dropped in the middle of this lineup, especially given the current state of the American League, could get the Red Sox into the World Series. Do you agree?
The American League is that bad. Yes, I do. With their pitching, Yeah. Now, I don't think they're one move away from it, to be totally honest. But if they're quite aggressive at this deadline, why not the Red Sox? That would be my attitude.
Okay, and with regard to the 15-game streak, and really it goes longer than that. It's really 20-3 over the last 23 games, which has put them right back in the thick of this thing in the American League. Just give me your thoughts on the way the thing went. How you think they got there? And again, what the consequences of it are.
Yeah, so the consequences are, or the result is, Mazz, that they have now put themselves in a position where they obviously have to be buyers. And that's the best part that comes out of this 15-game winning streak. Is that a sign that they're a World Series team as presently constructed? No, I don't think so. But they've now put themselves in a position to put pressure on the front office to get it right. This team does deserve, in addition, they do deserve an investment at the deadline. So I think that's the result of the 15-game winning streak. I mean, it got them back to where they are supposed to be and where they have been in recent years. They have, going back to 2022, essentially, the Red Sox have been a team that's about 3 or 4 games over 500, 100 games in. Right here at the trading deadline, they're at the exact same position that they've been in recent years. Have they not learned their lesson from years past where they have not had good deadlines and they have either fizzled out, not made the playoffs, or made the playoffs last year and then ran out of ammunition? Because they did. Once you got beyond the Garrett Crochet start, they did not have enough horses in the barn. They weren't able to get it done. So have they learned their lesson that they have to invest in this team in a significant way? That is the takeaway from the 15-game winning streak. I would also say on the field, Mazz, I think, and Joe Murray said this, and it's so true, they found their identity. If they have any identity at all, they found it offensively, which is we're going to lay down a bunt, we're going to move the runner over, we're going to put our bats on the ball, and we're going to play a style of baseball that best suits the roster that we have. And they have a manager who's willing to do it. I think Tracy deserves a ton of credit for this turnaround. This would not have happened had Alex Cora been manager. He would have been busy fighting the front office over the state of the roster. You have an interim guy who has something to prove and is going to manage the team the way it needs to be managed. The players bought in on it. Now you need to get reinforcements.
Okay, so this is where we are, folks, as we head into the weekend. Again, the Red Sox will take the field in a little less than an hour. But in the interim, we would love to continue to talk about the state of the team and where they stand and this amazing turnaround. 617-779-0985. I'll ask those of you out there, do you care as much as you did 2 days ago? Or is that worn off? Are you still interested, or were you in it just for the streak? Because I wonder. I think sometimes people get caught up in the streak, and then it ends, and then it's like, yeah, they're not going to make it. That's what a lot of you think. Sean McAdams said last night he thinks they're still going to make it. Right now, I think the Red Sox are in a pretty good spot. I am a little worried about the starting pitching, frankly. Patrick Sandoval does nothing for me. He's on the mound tonight, and who was the guy they pitched a couple of days ago
Rivera.
before Bayo?
Yeah.
I don't need to see that guy ever again. So, and I'm not all that confident in Bayo, but at least I know Bayo is, in theory, a big league starter. So 617-779-0985. Also, there is a name out there that was connected to the Red Sox today who has been rumored to be a target of theirs in the past. Big name, future Hall of Famer, plays on the West Coast. I think there is a major question to be asked about Mike Trout when really I think the question has been asked or has been out there to be asked for a long, long time. And I actually asked it a couple of months ago to someone who knows Trout, and we'll play for you what that person said.
Yeah, I guess when you look at it that way, he does. Like, if he really wanted to force the Angels' hands, he would have, I don't think he's going to have a holdout or anything. There's no contract dispute. He's signed. But, he could go to the owner more forcefully and demand a trade. And it's interesting you mentioned the fans. Like, we did on our podcast, Halo Territory. We did, we've talked about this storyline a lot. And I said, I would like nothing more than to see Mike Trout traded to a contender and to play in October. And some fans lashed out at me for even saying that.
So earlier in the year, When there started to be speculation about Mike Trout getting out of Anaheim, and he was playing well at the time, he hadn't been injured yet, et cetera, and he's back on the field now, I'm pretty sure. I was just looking it up. I know he played a couple of days ago. I don't think he's back on the injured list or anything like that.
Give him time.
Well, okay, so there is that with Trout too. But let me ask you a simple question. If they could get Mike Trout, take on the contract, and I don't think that they would have to give up a whole lot of talent to get Trout because, candidly, he's aging and, there's still a sizable contract there. If I were the Angels, I'd eat money and get a player back. But anyway, let's just say they could get Mike Trout. Would you do it?
Yes, given the state of this Red Sox roster, you put him in left field over Jarren Duran. Yes, I would.
Okay, as would I. Do you think Mike Trout would do it?
Nope.
Why not?
Because he's a loser. And I know you've called him that. It's the easiest take in the history of sports because it's not a take, Mazz. He's a loser. He's had no interest in getting out of Anaheim. He's had no interest in playing meaningful baseball. He's more than happy to stay there in relative obscurity, play baseball for a living, get paid a boatload of money to do it, and never, ever have an impact on the history of the game ever again. That's Mike Trout. That's who he is. This is a player from Philadelphia who you would have thought wanted to get out of Anaheim. He had the opportunity to do so years ago, chose not to, has no interest in going anywhere else, and I absolutely believe that he was the reason that the deal didn't happen. And you know what? If you're the Red Sox, and I would take him, but if he has no interest in coming here, good riddance. I don't want to deal with you. I want no time. I want to spend no time on Mike Trout because he's not interested in playing meaningful baseball. I'd like to have a guy who has at least some sense of a pulse, some type of pulse, and has any interest in playing in October. He's done it once, 3 playoff games. He sucked, and he was like, I'm good. I don't ever need to do this again. One of the great losers in the history of sports.
So this to me is the kind of thing you say, then you revisit the question and say, if this guy doesn't want to play in the playoffs, then I don't want him.
Yep.
And I think that this is the case with Trout. And I'll just say this quickly because we did this on the Breaking Balls, which is on our YouTube channel, sort of a digital feature that we do in tandem or in partnership with the Baseball Hour and, everything we do here at the station. I spoke with Mike DiGiovanna of the LA Times, formerly. He's now semi-retired, still does a little bit of work. But Mike DiGiovanna has covered Trout's whole career. He knows Trout pretty well and has gotten to know him over the years pretty well. Mike Trout doesn't want to leave out there, I don't think. And that was the cut we played coming back from the break. But and this is something that came out months ago. The Angels, I just want to emphasize this to fans. The Angels are the worst organization in baseball.
Maybe in all of sports. They're on the short list.
And I think by a landslide. They are a horribly run organization. Horribly run. And Mike Trout has not been in a playoff game in over 10 years.
2014.
Okay, in the last 10 years, they have been one of the worst teams in the game. Maybe the worst. And now they are the worst organization in baseball. And he has not sought to get out of there, which to me should tell you plenty. I just think I just want to get this out there because I don't think it's talked about enough with Trout. I don't think the guy cares about winning.
Nope.
How could you if you stayed out there the whole time?
It's one thing, Mazz, to
just
say...
Just remember, at one point, they had Ohtani and Trout, and they sucked.
It's incredible.
Right?
Incredible.
Think of how hard that is to do.
He spent a lot of his career out there with Pujols, too, who was kind of washed the second he signed that deal in Anaheim. But you're right. It is remarkable. And it's one thing to say, hey, I signed the contract. I'm not going to force my way out. Maybe some people just believe in that. I believe he was presented with an opportunity to get out, and he said, I'm good. Thanks. That's a completely different type of level of, I don't want to win. I don't care. I just don't want to move. I'm happy to live my life in Southern California, be the number 2 team in town, to have nobody care, and just go out and get paid $400 million to play baseball. That's who he is, so I say good riddance.
I mean, unbelievable, really. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if he stays in Anaheim now. I mean, he becomes one of the great losers in the history of the sport. Maybe any sport.
You know what? To be totally honest, I would punish him. And I know you don't have a vote anymore, Mazz. He's one of the great, statistically, was the best player of his era. Statistically, the best player of the 2010s. I'd hold it against him, and I'd put him in on the second ballot, not the first.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you are not interested in winning. What a loser. Seriously.
I mean, I'd put him in the Hall of Fame, but I've lost a lot of respect for him. Gino's in a car. Gino, what do you got?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, so just one that is probably realistic, another that you'd have to give up a haul for. Breslow emphasizes defense, so I think with a right-handed bat who's a 5'10" Gold Glover, I think that Matt Chapman would be a good addition. But then one you have to shoot for the stars for and give up a lot. I would like Yordan Alvarez. I know he's a lefty, but at that point, I think the talent overrides the righty-lefty. It just depends on what you're willing to give.
Gino, I agree with you on the left-right thing. When you start talking about guys like Alvarez, then, it doesn't matter. He can hit lefties, He can hit righties, you go get the bat. We got a bunch of people lined up, so I will just ask people to try to be quick, and we'll get to as many calls as we can here during the course of the hour. Lee is in Somerville. Lee, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but the second game on Wednesday, it seemed like the Red Sox had no interest in winning the game. They just sort of gave up when they were down 4. What do you guys think?
It's who they've been all year, Mazz. If you want a sign that, they played much better baseball throughout the 15-game winning streak, obviously, but that was the way they lost games earlier on in the year. They fell behind by 4, and they were done after that.
Okay, so
they need more. They need more power. They need obviously way more in the lineup.
Now, look, during this stretch where they've been winning, they came back in a lot of these games. I mean, and they answered in many cases they jumped out early, but in other cases they fell behind and rallied and came back. Or there was the first game against the Orioles in the series where they gave up 2 or 3 leads and were able to come back and either retake the lead or tie the game. And so I think there's more resilience in the club now than there was early in the season. The issue to me in the game, the second game of the doubleheader the other night, was Rivera. He got them in a hole early. Bayo's out there in the bullpen, prepared to come into the game in the second inning. If you're going to put him in the second inning, pull Rivera early and put him in the first. Why leave Rivera on the mound to allow 4 runs and get yourselves down 4-zip? Then Bayo had to come in the first as it was anyway. They were trying to avoid using Bayo in the first inning. As it turned out, it cost them 4 runs. It cost them the game. Once the game starts to get out of hand, you can't get behind 4-0. You can't do it.
And that's exactly what happened with Bayo earlier in the year, too. Bayo was better coming in the second, but they were killing themselves with the, parade of bums that they put out there in the first inning. So Bayo's just the kind of guy who pitches better when there's no pressure. You're down 3 or 4 runs. It's like, I'm good.
What's Rivera's first name?
Eduardo.
Eduardo Rivera should not start another game. I mean, this is, again, put Bayo out there and let him figure it out. I mean, the guy's a big league pitcher. You signed him. I know he's pitched like garbage in the first inning, but you can't continue to enable that behavior. Bill's in a car. Bill, go ahead.
Hey, guys, question for you. If Bobby Witt Jr. is the best guy you can go out and get if Trout doesn't want to come to Boston, what does a trade package look like for him, and what is the maximum y'all would give up? Thanks, guys. Happy Friday.
I would start with Roman Anthony. Anthony would have to be a part of the trade package, and I would do it.
So, look, I think it's going to be Anthony or something involving Franklin Arias or both. And the reason I say Arias is because he's a highly regarded prospect. He's number 4 in the sport right now or something like that. Yep. He just got promoted to AAA, and he plays shortstop. So if I'm the Royals, I will say, we will give you the Bobby Witt, but we want a chance to get the next Bobby Witt. And I don't even know that Arias is that, but whatever. Give us some tickets in the lottery for it, and then I want some pitching. So it's going to take 3 prospects, I think, 3 good ones at a minimum, to get a player like that who signed for 4 years. So that might be Arias, Anthony, and Tolley, something like that.
That's what I'm asking for if I'm Kansas City.
Okay, and I would tell you, if I'm the Red Sox, I would seriously think about it. I would, that'd be the kind of guy, there's no gray area about what his ability is in Bobby Witt, and he's a franchise-changing talent. Let's see if we can squeeze in one more. Eddie's in Sudbury. Eddie, go ahead.
So 15 in a row is a lot of fun. Great. It doesn't mean you automatically get into the playoffs, right? So say they get in, that's awesome. At some point, you have to worry about bringing back somebody with some sort of playoff experience, because if I'm not wrong here, the only ones on the roster today are Chapman, Suarez, and Contreras.
Well,
Trout's not going to give you that. I mean, if I'm fancy baseball, I'd love Trout on the team. I think it'd be really cool. But again, I don't. At some point, either you're young, dumb, and in love, and get lucky here. But at some point, you need some grown-ups in there to get back. And Neto and none of these guys have that.
So, Eddie, the only other thing I would add is that remember that technically they were in the playoffs last year. And I say technically because there are guys on the team who had experience last year in the postseason. Okay, now I don't think that's what you're talking about. I think you're talking about guys who have had successful postseason runs. And so certainly Contreras and Chapman qualify. Who else did he say? Suarez.
Yep.
Yeah, and look, Sonny Gray, I think, has pitched in the playoffs. I don't think it was anything overly impressive.
No, but Gray's been around forever, so that that also does help in regards to veteran presence.
But yes, I want someone who has some idea how to win. Ideally, I would like that. My priority, though, because you're not going to be able to get everything, my priority would be someone who can hit. Because if the Red Sox make a deal, they should make it for more than 2026. If you're going to give up prospects, you can't get a rental, and you're not going to be able to get a hitter on the free agent market. You're going to have to make a trade anyway. So make it now. I've said this for months, by the way, that if they made a deal, even if they were out of it, they needed to make a deal for a hitter that could help them down the road.
No doubt.
Because there's the free agent market stinks. It's freaking terrible. And independent of the work stoppage and everything else, you got to get a bat in your operation. You got to find it from another team. You're making a trade one way or the other is my point. So I would go ahead and do it now. Are you doing headlines or is Garvin?
Ryan Garvin's going to do them.
Okay. Ryan Garvin's going to get you caught up on headlines. McCarthy will be back. We'll continue with your phone calls. We'll also revisit the comments from Tom Werner earlier in the week because I want Matt McCarthy's thoughts on those.
I just want to say something about Caleb Durbin because, I think that the true fans were obviously frustrated. I talked to Matt Arnold, who is the president of baseball operations for Milwaukee in May, and he said, look, this guy is really talented, and he's going to come around. And what was great is that the team had confidence in him. He was always playing brilliant defensively, and now his WAR is up there with some of the people that people wanted us to sign.
So again, that was from earlier in the week on Nesson. I just wanted to get Matt McCarthy's thoughts on this because at the end of the day, look, we mock it. I get it. There's a certain performance quality to what we do here on talk radio. So when someone says something kind of silly, we're going to make fun of them for it. We try to do the same thing about ourselves. Maybe not always, maybe not enough. But in any case, at the end of the day, my question is this. At that time when Tom Werner went on to do the interview, and again, they were promoting the run to home base. That was the idea of doing the interview, which came up at the end of the discussion. But I've done a million interviews where I mention the charity at the end. We do them all at the Super Bowl that way. It's fine. I'll allow for that part of it. But when he starts talking about Caleb Durbin, which he directed the conversation toward, because the question was really about the trade deadline, and he brought up Caleb Durbin on his own. As if to say, see, we were right. And today, after the streak has ended, I think the Red Sox won that night and then they won another one. So they got the streak to 15 games. They're still just 3 games over 500. They are still fighting for a playoff spot and needed a miracle to get back in the race. Nobody banks on a 15-game winning streak. Okay, nobody banks on it. Now, if they play at a high level the rest of the year, we can say it took a while for it to gel. But even then, some of the guys that came up and played here, Matt, are 4A players that nobody expected anything from. Why would you start, pumping your own horn when nothing has really been decided yet? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And Mazz, far be it from me to, come in on one day and, make an argument, make a take, make a celebration on, hey, we got it right on this, we got it wrong on this. Trust me, that is a big part of our business. I think the thing that stands out to me is, yeah, you did get it right on Alex Bregman. You did. I mean, he was trending in the wrong direction. But if we're talking about Alex Bregman versus Caleb Durbin, those standards to me as a Red Sox fan are still too low. Like, your standards should be higher than that for third baseman of the Boston Red Sox. I mean, Rafael Devers was here a year ago. Are we really talking about a guy who's hitting 235 versus a guy who's hitting 235? Like, I don't know if there's much of a victory lap on any of that. And yes, Durbin has been a better baseball player as of late, and he's starting to turn things around now that he's gone outside the organization to learn how to hit again. But are we really talking about the likes of Caleb Durbin and Alex Bregman? Bregman's a name, Durbin's not. They're kind of the same baseball player. Either way,
on paper.
On paper, yeah, on paper. But Bregman's trending down. The Red Sox are right about that. They are right. Bregman is trending in the wrong direction, and rapidly so. Don't you want more as a Red Sox fan?
Okay, but here's the other thing, Matt. He said wanted us to sign. There were people who wanted us to sign a guy that has the same WAR.
Yeah, I mean, you could be talking about Bregman. I guess you could be talking about Alonso, who's been disappointing there. You're right.
Okay. No, not only that. They wanted the player.
They did want Bregman.
They wanted Bregman before they wanted Durbin.
At their price.
They just botched it. Yeah. Okay, so it's like, it's not, they wanted a guy that some people wanted us to sign. No, not some people. You wanted to sign him. They wanted to sign him. So, let me make fun of the people who thought we should sign Bregman. Well, you were one of them. I mean, the organization was earnestly trying to re-sign Alex Bregman. He got pissed off with the process and said, I'm out of here. You won't give me the no trade. F off. I'm not doing it. See, I'm going to the Cubs. And that was it. But it's not like it wasn't like the Bogart situation where they basically said, we're going to let him go.
Yep.
And we're going to sign Trevor Story instead. That's not what this was. They wanted Bregman back. They just effed it up.
Right. Durbin was a pivot. If they really wanted Durbin, they would have gone out and got him earlier on in the offseason because he can play second base, he can play third base. He's a good fielder. So trust me, there's a place on this roster for Caleb Durbin with or without Alex Bregman.
Let's not rewrite history here, okay? That's all I'm getting at. You wanted Bregman, you effed it up, and now you want to celebrate the fact that Caleb Durbin's as good as Bregman. Okay, fine. First of all, nobody cares about the money. That's something ownership cares about. And then he went on to say, we're playing the kind of baseball that teams like Tampa Bay and Milwaukee play. As if to say, see, we can win with a lower payroll.
I don't want that as a Red Sox fan.
Bingo.
I don't.
And I thought that was a mistake. I thought that was sort of a peek behind the curtain of we're not going to change the way we do things. And I think that in some ways that hurts the franchise.
It was honest. I will give him that.
Okay,
it was
so
honest.
That's fair.
That's who they do. That's a very kind of John Henry, baseball players are expensive type of comment.
Yeah. That's fair.
That really is admitting what we kind of all know. They do want to be the Rays. They do want to be the Brewers. They've just been, frankly, not good enough at being the Rays or the Brewers. And I don't want to be the Rays or the Brewers in the first place.
But I think it was inadvertently honest. I don't think he realized what he was saying until after he said it. Anyway, we got a few people on the line still. We'll try to squeeze in the calls. I just ask for those of you there, please try to be quickly. We'll get everyone, see if we can get everyone in before the end of the hour. Al is in Quincy on Garrett Crochet. Go ahead, Al.
Hey, guys, I'm just curious how you think the Crochet injury might impact who the Red Sox are willing to deal. Just because, I feel like I'd be willing to part with Connolly early if you can go get a big bat, a stud like you want, Mazz. But, at the same time, if you don't know if he's going to come back, how can you trade one of these guys who's going to be, pretty instrumental in the stretch here?
Okay, so I don't think Crochet is coming back. Do you?
I don't, not as a starting pitcher.
Okay.
If he comes back, it's going to be a Chris Sale. Remember, Lord knows. I forget which of the many years Sale was injured. He tried to come back as a reliever at the end of it. That would be my guess. If they get Crochet back at all, they won't have time to build him up as a starter.
So the caller, though, raised an interesting question, which is how can you trade away a starting pitcher to get a bat when Garrett Crochet might not come back? Or maybe two starting pitchers. Maybe it's Early and Tolley. And what I would say to you is, if I'm the Red Sox and I have to make a deal, in this case, I am putting a little more emphasis on the longer term than the short. I don't want a rental. I want a guy who's got term on his deal.
Yeah.
So if you're trading for, let's just say, someone like Bobby Witt, that's a 4-year trade. Okay, I'm getting Bobby Witt for 4 seasons. So if I can't replace Crochet in the short term, so be it. I'm operating that in 27 and 28 and 29 and beyond, that I will have both of those guys on my team.
I'm okay with giving up something I have for something I don't have. You just better have that thing you're getting for a while. If you're getting Shea Langoliers, you're getting Bobby Witt, somebody who's going to be at the center of what you're doing offensively, I will take a short-term hit on the pitching staff. And you hope it's a wash. You hope you can weather the storm of trading Bennett or Early or Tolley or whoever that may be. I'm not rushing out to do it for the Zach Nettos of the world. I'm not running out the door to do that. But if this is Bobby Witt or Shea Langoliers, somebody like that, I will take the hit on the roster right now.
I mean, if you're trading two of the lefties, okay, let's just say two, and you keep Bennett, I'm just making that easy. You still have Suarez, Gray, Bennett, Bayo, and I'm not telling you I love Bayo, but he's your fourth guy. I'll take my chances in 2026.
Right. If you're getting Bobby Witt or somebody of that, because now all of a sudden I'm hitting better.
You got it.
This is not for Zach Netto. That's for sure.
Ryan in the North End. Good, Ryan.
I have one quick question, then a comment. First, Mazz, why do you have such a dump in your pants? An honest question with the Red Sox.
No,
I don't get it.
No, it's been there my whole life. It's what happens when you grow up. When I grew up, a lot of people do. Go ahead. What else you got?
All right, that's fair enough. But I guess my question is, what did you want the guy to say? Like, yeah, they screwed up, they botched it, they were completely lucky to catch lightning in a bottle, and that's why they're back in good time. Like, I don't know what you actually wanted the guy to say, but that, I guess, is beside the point.
Hold on. When you say the guy, you're talking about Werner now?
Yeah, correct. On the
Okay,
interview.
so let me give you an answer. I'll give you an answer.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on hold, but don't hang up, just because it helps with being able to hear the answer clearly. How about something like this? Well, look, we had a really rough start to the year. We played great baseball of late. We've gotten ourselves back in this thing, and it's a testament to the players who really had to grind their way and dig out of the hole. We still have work to do because this is not where we want to be yet. How's that?
Yeah, that is a political, polished, fine-tuned answer. So fair enough. I think the guy was just trying to take a little extra credit while he was up on his high horse. But
okay,
again,
so why take the credit? But why take the credit? But anyway, go ahead. You haven't done anything yet to take credit for it.
You seem the only guy who's giving him crap for trying to take the credit. That's beside the point. McCarthy, with Durbin, you were trying to say, part of his draw or his value was he's kind of a utility guy. He could play first, second, whatever you were saying there.
Second and third.
Mazz the other day was saying that he did not want a super utility, was his exact wording, on that kind of player. Maybe it's a different circumstance. I'm not sure. Mazz, I don't know if you recall you mentioning the super utility comment, but I just was curious to get the McCarthy versus Mazz take on that specific.
Okay,
Durbin isn't
Ryan,
a super
thank you for the
utility
call.
guy. He's an infielder.
Thank you for that. So wait, I missed the beginning of what he said to you.
I have no idea. He said that I said that Durbin can play all over the place. I'd feel comfortable with Durbin at second or third base. He's an infielder.
Okay, so again, if super utility is not necessarily, I wouldn't call
That's
Durbin.
Cedon Rafaela.
No, who was the guy the Red Sox were looking at?
You're talking about like Ben Zobrist years ago?
No. Someone more recently was a candidate to be traded and was on the market or is on the market. And I said, I don't know a lot about him. Let me look him up. Oh, he plays multiple positions, infield and outfield. Like he feels more like a super utility guy for me. Oh, it was the guy with the Giants, Schmidt.
Casey Schmidt.
Casey Schmidt.
Okay.
Casey Schmidt. And I looked it up and I said, he feels more like a super utility guy to me. Ideally, I would like someone who can play a position and is a centerpiece guy in a lineup. That's what I like. That's what I would like. So I don't know why he's necessarily connecting that to Durbin. I don't think I was talking about Durbin when I said that. When I made the super utility comment, I was talking about Casey Schmidt.
No, you made it about Durbin, Mazz. You definitely did. There's a clip out there about it. Ugh.
Well, he might be right. I might have said that at one point.
Yeah, Mazz.
But I don't think I called him super utility.
What do you think about it now, Mazz?
I think I said he would be a good utility guy, is what I said.
I hope you feel badly.
And then, by the way, that might still be true.
Yeah, Mazz.
I'm not sure he is an everyday player and as a cornerstone piece. You want to hit him seventh, and when you have Anthony Contreras and Bobby Witt in the middle of your lineup, then fine. Durbin
what do
can
you
hang
know,
around.
Mazz?
Not much. Not much, frankly. Must be Friday. Can't get a sentence out. Matt, thank you.
See you, Mazz.
Okay, Red Sox and Orioles, Twins. No. Blue Jays, it is Friday. About to take the field over at Fenway Park. Ryan Garvin's got your headlines. We'll talk to you on Monday.